our longest trusted English newspaper since 1898. Now available digitally. Computer, order the Manila Times Digital Edition. Subscribed. Get the Manila Times Digital Edition for less than 2 pesos and 50 centavos per day when you sign up for 1 year. The Manila Times, news source of choice, trusted since 1898.
Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Sunday, June 5, 2022. For today's editorial, improved tourism can be economy's third leg. Based on the President-elect's statements during the campaign, the Tourism Secretary could be part of the incoming government's economic team. Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. said tourism could hasten economic recovery by creating jobs. He made a good point, and many also see tourism as a proverbial low-hanging fruit that could help the Philippines bounce back. In 2019, tourism's share of the total economy or gross domestic product was 12.8%, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. That was as significant to the economy as remittances from overseas Filipino workers or OFWs, and as important as the business process outsourcing sector. Also in 2019, tourism's share of total employment was 13.6%, again based on PSA data. Of course, the sector's share of GDP and of employment plummeted because of COVID-19, but those figures suggest that simply returning to pre-pandemic levels will be a substantial economic boost. But why stop there? If managed better, tourism can have an even bigger impact on growth and development. Consider the potential. In 2019, tourist arrivals in the Philippines reached 8.26 million, an improvement from previous years. But compared to Vietnam, that figure was just half of its tourist arrivals for the same year. In fact, 4 other countries in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations outperformed the Philippines in tourist arrivals. Thailand, which has a similar economic profile to the Philippines, ranks first in this metric, with nearly 40 million arrivals in 2019. With the right policies and programs, the Philippines could compete with Thailand and others in the ASEAN. Moreover, developing tourism can do workers for rural development, since many tourist destinations are located outside Metro Manila and other urban centers. Admittedly though, realizing potential is never easy for Filipinos. Fortunately, Mr. Marcos picked a promising nominee to fill the tourism portfolio, Cristina Garcia Frasco. She's mayor of Liloan, a municipality in Cebu province where her mother is governor. The mayor is also for now the spokesman for Vice President-elect Sara Inday Duterte Carpio. Mrs. Frasco appears to be a competent local chief executive. As mayor, she received various recognitions, including the Manila Times Award for the most livable cities in the Philippines that was given to Liloan in 2019. Also, her heart seems to be in public service. She gave up law, representing foreign firms in multi-billion-dollar arbitration cases, to serve in a small municipality. She was just elected to a 3rd term as mayor when she was nominated to head the tourism department. As mentioned earlier, Mrs. Frasco faces tough challenges ahead because her office may have to rely on other departments that have their own priorities. For instance, the country needs better airports, not to mention more international gateways closer to prime tourism destinations. But the Department of Transportation, not tourism, is responsible for that. Tourism development also benefits from better domestic connectivity, particularly convenient access to tourist sites. But the Department of Public Works and Highways builds roads and other similar infrastructure that will help the tourism sector realize its targets. Lastly, the Philippines should consider liberalizing visa requirements, perhaps selectively waive them like what Thailand and other countries in the region did. But for that, Mrs. Frasco will need to convince the Department of Foreign Affairs. It will also make points in negotiating air agreements that would allow more foreign airlines to fly here, and her team will have to convince them that it would be economically viable. Tourism promotion is within the Tourism Secretary's ambit, but the impact of promotions will be weaker if tourists find it more convenient to travel elsewhere in the region and a hassle to move around within the Philippines. Of course, the pandemic also affects the maximization returns. But the Philippines simply needs to live with COVID-19, and for the most part, that seems to be the general mindset. Fortunately for Mrs. Frasco, she represents a formidable political base and enjoys good relations with the Vice President-elect. That may expand her role in policymaking. For good measure, the public should support her. Her success will benefit the country. And that's the editorial for Sunday, June 5, 2022. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the Voice of the Times.